Hey, all you cool dogs and puppies. This is the Be Well at USask podcast. My name's Peter Headley. I serve as a Director of Student Affairs and Services at the university. This podcast is for all members of the University of Saskatchewan community. Each week, members of our community will join me to share ideas and provide guidance on all aspects of being well. And we'll be highlighting campus initiatives and resources designed to engage and support you. In these challenging times, we hope the ideas and information we share will help. In this episode, as part of our series focusing on mental health during Mental Health Week in May 2020, I'm going to be talking to Alexandria Pavelich and Holly McKenzie about the USask Pause Your Stress therapy dog program. We're going to be talking about how mental health and well-being is supported through their program, the role the Student Wellness Centre and other community partners have in supporting USask community wellness, and evidence-based facts regarding the benefit of human-animal interaction. Well, welcome to the podcast, Alexandria and Holly. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Thanks, Peter. We're excited to be here.
So can you start off by telling me about what programs you're doing at the university and what life looks like for you right now? Alexandria, perhaps you can start.
For sure. My name's Alexandria Pavelich, and I am a current sociology master's student who is working in the Office of One Health and Wellness under the supervision of Dr. Colleen Dell. My specialization and studies is in suicide, and my current graduate work is examining the impact that psychiatric service dogs have for suicide prevention activities in military veteran populations. I also coordinate the Pause Your Stress therapy dog program on campus and oversee those social media channels. So I have been very busy working from home on that, as well as just spending time with my two dogs and cat.
Thanks. Holly, how about you?
So I am a Banting postdoctoral fellow with the Department of Sociology at the University of Saskatchewan, and I'm also supervised by Dr. Colleen Dell. And in my research, kind of broadly, I explore wellness from critical, decolonizing, and feminist frameworks with a focus on responsive supports, including therapy dog visiting. I'm also training my Great Dane Opal to get ready for the St. John Ambulance therapy dog test and doing lots of other fun things with her, like going for runs and walks outside and learning and practicing different tricks. So right now I'm doing that and just working from home and getting out on my patio as much as possible.
Thanks. So we're here today to talk about the therapy dog program that you're involved with. Alexandra, what therapy dogs come to campus and why do they come?
For sure. So the Pause Your Stress therapy dog program relies solely on St. John Ambulance volunteers who come to visit with their companion dogs. We have all sorts of dog breeds that come to campus, everything from tiny little dogs to bulldogs, Labradors. We have giant Alaskan Malamutes, Great Pyrenees, basically anything that you can think of. The common thread between all these dogs is simply the love that they have for people. And this program started in 2015 through Dr. Colleen Dell's office. She is a sociology professor at USask, as well as the Centennial Enhancement Chair in One Health and Wellness. In terms of the actual visits themselves, we have regular scheduled visits, which can be quite large, with 400 or more students or staff coming into the libraries to see the dogs over a 1-hour period. And we also have special visits that can be requested. We have a really strong partnership with Peer Health and the Be Well campaign. So we do have dogs that can come in for extra support for students during our peer support drop-in or even one-on-one sessions, as we do have some handlers that are faculty social workers and psychologists. So basically we can respond to any requests that we get from staff or student organizations who are simply wanting the positive benefits of interacting with the dog. So that's kind of how the program is delivered. But as for why do the dogs come, this is because of the proven mental health benefits that individuals get from interacting with an animal. I should note, there is an extensive testing process, which Holly will touch on later, I think, to ensure that the dog also enjoys these visits and experiences. Not every dog has the personality for it, but it's definitely a mutually beneficial interaction for the dog, as well as the people visiting with them. As we know, and I'm sure you've touched on this on the podcast already, mental health is a huge problem on campuses. And through research, we have learned that these dogs do provide unconditional love, comfort, and support to students. They're able to ease feelings of loneliness and depression, especially if an individual is away from home for the first time studying in a new city. We know that petting a dog can reduce anxiety, lower blood pressure, and lessen many of the symptoms that are indicative of stress. And their presence also provides a meaningful connection on the campus community. So basically anything we can do service-wise to provide support or improve student wellness is at the forefront of our therapy dog activities while keeping the welfare of the animal in mind. We do frequently get feedback from staff and students that offering a unique service like this makes them feel important in the eyes of the university. So to us, that's a pretty big deal, and that's why we keep coming to visit.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. I think in terms of a multi-dimensional approach to health and well-being, it's been an important thing. I know with part of our own student wellness center in the peer health program and those kind of connections that we really value that relationship. So Holly, you mentioned that you're part of a therapy dog team with your dog Opal. Why did you want to do this? And can anyone and their dog become a therapy dog team?
So when we first brought Opal home, and actually, when she was placed with us, they told us how much she just loved people and was so confident. But over kind of the few months she came home as a puppy, I just saw how much she enjoyed meeting people and spending time with people, all people. And so since then, we've done our best to train her in basic obedience and to get used to different environments. So she has the skills to feel comfortable with loud noises, people running by, stuff like that. She just loves meeting all these different people and spending time with them. It's something we wanted to facilitate for her. And I just also thought it was a great way to give back to this community in Saskatoon and at the university to students specifically. So that's kind of why we're interested and why we're planning to do the St. John ambulance test once visiting is, again, taking place and there's not a public health risk to visiting in that way anymore. The other thing that is really interesting when you say, like, can any dog become a therapy dog? Well, any breed of dog can become a therapy dog or mixed breeds or what have you. But there's a lot of dogs who love their humans and maybe have like a few other specific humans that they love, but they aren't really excited and joyful and happy to visit with all humans. And that's really the quality that all therapy dogs have to have. And then, of course, because they're in lots of different situations, they're in universities, they're in hospitals, these different settings, they need to be able to be comfortable in different environments and have those basic obedience to, just walk around and sit and wait for a few minutes if somebody's coming by. So they need to also have those skills. And then before they go out and visit anywhere, they will go through a test with the St. John Ambulance therapy dog evaluators, people who are really experienced. And they'll evaluate, okay, does this dog like visiting with multiple people? Is this dog safe in all of these different situations? And that's the kind of things that they'll evaluate them for. And then they'll say, yes, you're ready. Or they'll say, try again and work on these things. We have a video of a St. John Ambulance therapy dog test evaluation where someone's taking through their dog and going through all the different exercises with the evaluators. And so people, if they're interested in taking the test, they can watch that and see what they might want to work on with them and their dogs before they do the test and have a better sense of what to expect.
And I guess I should add that therapy dogs do have a special classification and a recognized classification because of their training. At the university, we have an animals on campus policy and obviously service animals, given the role that they play in their training, therapy dogs. There's also a classification for emotional support animals, and students can find out more about that. But again, there does need to be some assessment of an animal in that fashion. So it's not just a sort of straightforward exercise of bringing any animal onto campus or into offices or into the classroom. But yeah, it's important to stress that particular piece of training that therapy dogs go through. So,
and it's for the wellness of the dogs so that they're comfortable in the situations that they're in and so that they can do what they want to do. And the other thing that's really important about kind of the difference between therapy dogs and service animals is that therapy dogs can go into different public spaces when they're invited if they have the certification. So I can't just, once my dog is certified as a therapy dog, I cannot take it to Walmart just because it has that certification and has been proven to be safe in different environments.
Yeah, no, thanks for that clarification. So I'm aware that given our current situation of self-isolation, that you've recently taken the program online, which includes online visits. So can you tell me more about how this works in practice and how it's been going?
For sure. So when the various public health measures were introduced to limit the spread of COVID-19, we still had a number of events that were supposed to be running on campus, but obviously we had to cancel them as animals can act as a surface for transmission. So along with St. John Ambulance and our program, we wanted to let the USask community know that we still were thinking about them and cared about them, and specifically the students, many of whom were home alone and stuck in residence. So we decided to move the therapy dog program online. And what we are trying to mirror are some aspects of the physical visit. So we are having dogs visit virtually, whether through a live event on Facebook that can be interactive, people can ask questions and get feedback, or through a recorded video, such as doing a live book reading. The online visits are going well so far. We are getting a ton of positive feedback from viewers, but obviously it's a bit different than it would be in person. We do believe it is effective, but we are going to be formally evaluating this so that we can understand whether there are benefits and what exactly those may be. And we're able to do this as we have received funding through the Saskatchewan Health Research Foundation to evaluate the online program. And we will be making plans to move forward in the future based on what we find this summer. But again, in terms of that difference, because you're not able to pet the dog and you're viewing it through a screen, there is no immediate surge of oxytocin, which is that feel-good hormone that occurs when you do physically interact with the dog. But maybe there are similar benefits, and that's really what we want to find out. We know that animal pictures and videos are very popular online. I'm sure a lot of our viewers are familiar with pages like the Dodo that have massive followings because they make people feel good. So there was actually an interesting study that was done at the University of Victoria by a neuroscientist who proved that just by looking at photos of cute baby animals, this can boost your mood and concentration levels because it does tap into that reward system in the brain, which can be triggered by visual cues. So we know that dopamine and other positive chemicals are triggered when we look at photos of puppies. So what we're looking at with our online program is whether people still continue to feel that comfort, unconditional love, and support that we know was previously present in student visits on campus. But in terms of effectiveness, what is really unique for what we're doing is that a lot of the viewers who are tuning in to our live events have already met the therapy dogs and the handler. They do have an existing relationship with these therapy dog teams. So does this bond transcend virtually? There's so much to look at. It's all very fascinating, and we are excited to evaluate this. It's a new area that warrants more investigation. So we do feel like we're doing important empirical research as well as just providing an enjoyable experience for viewers who may be stuck at home. And Holly, I'm not sure if you want to touch on this, if there's anything I missed there.
Well, it was an interesting time for me because Opal and I had just started our application for St. John Ambulance Therapy Dog Visiting Program when visiting ended because of the public health risks of gathering in groups. And so it was such a cool opportunity, and it is such a cool opportunity to get to participate in this project as a therapy dog team in training and to share kind of in that way. And then also as a co-investigator working with this team, which is led by Dr. Colleen Dell, I've also been involved in the facilitation of the program. And so when therapy dog teams are doing online visits, the dogs are being videoed doing activities that make them happy. And the handlers are sharing how this activity is linked to an evidence-based pandemic-specific mental health self-care tip. So there's so much we can learn from dogs, and there's so many ways we can benefit each other and enrich each other's lives. And another thing that I wanted to touch on briefly is that really it was through this process of training Opal for therapy dog work that led me to want to understand therapy dog programs and human-canine relations further through research, and in doing so contribute to the growing evidence base, which is really limited right now. So this actually isn't the focus of my postdoctoral fellowship. It actually we'll be looking at what fosters positive relations among therapy dog handler teams and people who are admitted to the emergency department for concerns related to mental health and substance use. And so I'm planning to facilitate this study at the Royal University Hospital Emergency Department. And there I'll be looking at policies, I'll be hearing from patients' perspectives, I'll be learning from handlers' perspectives, and we'll be addressing canine welfare throughout the project. And this work builds on a pilot study that was led by Dr. Colleen Dell and Dr. James Stempian and an interdisciplinary team. And their patients reported increased comfort levels and diminished distress after visiting with a therapy dog in the emergency department. And that's also the first emergency department where there was a therapy dog visiting program. So it's really special to be able to do that work there. And it's also really interesting and unique to be able to work with this really strong group of therapy dog handlers and researchers through the One Health office and Pause Your Stress. And so it just really brings me back to how our experiential knowledge and kind of like what we do as researchers can inform each other, and we can get a more holistic understanding through that.
Yeah, the thing that I'm always struck by is that there's nothing actually soft and fuzzy about what you're doing apart from the dogs. It is all research focused. And I think that's a really critical thing that people understand. This is not just people petting dogs for the value that might provide them. The importance of the background of the research piece really stands out for me. So, I mean, it's stating the obvious, I know, but there's something very important about people's relationship with animals, especially their pets, in relation to the comfort and emotional support provided and exchanged. But this seems to be particularly true in this current period of social isolation. Even something as simple as people having a reason to go outside, get some exercise and fresh air, to walk the dog. What are some of your observations about the importance of this relationship, especially right now?
So we know that the human-animal bond benefits both people and animals, and that animals and pets can be an important support in many different situations for many different people. So, for example, in 2016, the Canadian Centre for Substance Use and Addictions conducted a national survey, and 68.4% of the Saskatchewan respondents identified their relationship with animals or pets as an important support in their recovery. And yes, our pets remind us and give us a reason to go outside and get some fresh air and move around, as you said, Peter. And I think there's also that element that at this time where many of us are worried about the future and the unknown, our pets can bring us into the present, connect, and remind us we're cared for. And that's also what the therapy dog and handlers online visits seek to do, is to show students and the wider Saskatchewan community that they're cared for, to offer that comfort and to share some tips.
So finally, I haven't actually mentioned that I have a special connection with the Pause Your Stress therapy dog program, which I should say I'm very proud of. Alexandria, could you tell listeners what that is and how that came about?
For sure. I was hoping this would come up because it's so fun and it was super exciting to do this. Last fall, what happened was our One Health office received funding to make a video about the therapy dog program on campus. So we were able to partner with the media production office to produce this. And Dr. Dell and I, who are academic researchers, kind of got tasked to put together this very creative piece. And we had a lot of help from our director, John Ogresko, and his team. And they helped us put together this amazing video filmed from the perspective of Womble, who is a standard poodle and therapy dog who regularly visits USask. And basically, Womble is touring us around campus, interacting with students and staff with a GoPro strapped to his back. So visually, it's very interesting and nice to sort of see the very positive reactions of people as they're greeted by Womble and interacting with him. He talks all about the program, the mental health benefits that the community receives. I don't want to give away too much because I think it's better if you just go and watch it. But the special connection here is that Peter actually provided the incredible voice to Womble and really brought him to life. Every time I see Womble in person now, I literally hear Peter's voice and narration in my head. So he did an awesome job. I know Wendy, Womble's handler, was super happy with it as well. But maybe you'd like to speak to that experience, Peter.
Yeah, well, it was funny. I got an email from John saying that there'd been a request that I do a voiceover for a video. And I thought, okay, well, I guess I can do that. And the more I explored it with John, he said, well, voiceover, it's more of a voice than a voiceover. And I said, oh, okay. And suddenly the penny dropped and I thought, oh, okay, I'm a dog, aren't I? I'm a dog. and he said, yeah, that's right. You're Womble. And so what the Wombles was a TV show when I was a kid. And so I was very familiar with Bernard Cribbins, who's the actor, the very famous actor in Britain who did the voice of the Wombles. And so I can't actually tell you how much I agonized over what Womble would sound like for days, literally walking around. I found myself doing voices because to some extent, I realized it wasn't quite my voice. And so we were literally sitting in the studio with Wayne, who's joining us on this recording today, but also John saying, well, who does it sound like? And so the conclusion that I came to was Ben Whishaw, who voices Paddington. And sure. when you listen to him, he doesn't have any bass in his voice at all. It's all in the front of his mouth and the way he sounds. So, yeah, it was one of the most fun things I've done in a very, very long time. And I joked with my boss, our vice provost, that I wouldn't say it's my proudest moment at the university, but it's probably in the top 5.
Well, yeah, so, hopefully we can provide a link to that. But
yeah,
all the feedback that we got
the details,
was
I think, yeah.
So positive. So yeah, I think it's just kind of a good way to summarize the program is in that video. And again, it's just nice to, see dogs wandering around having a good time. So
yeah, absolutely. So I'm asking all guests on the podcast to share one thing they're doing right now to be well for themselves, perhaps something that brings them joy or a sense of connection. Holly, what would that thing be for you and how does it help?
I'm making sure that I move every day, from going for a walk with Opal to lifting weights. I'm focusing on being grateful for what my body can do. And so in this time where we're just constantly getting news updates, and my work already has me spending a lot of time in front of that computer, it just allows me to get some distance. It allows me to be a little bit more present. And of course, spending time with Opal is also doing that. But I thought that maybe I would share something that was also another thing that I'm doing is I'm also spending time with my dog, of course, and that's helping me be present and get a little bit of distance. And I'm finding that that's really important right now. And I think it's something that my whole life has been important to me. But in times like this, I keep coming back to, okay, what usually works? What usually makes me feel a little bit better? And that's just doing those things. And I think a lot of us have those skills, have those tools, right?
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Alexandria?
I think for me, a big thing is being outside in nature. I grew up on a farm, so this has always been really important to me. I don't know if people would be familiar with this, but there's something called the biophilia hypothesis, which is basically the idea that humans do have an innate tendency to want to interact with and be connected to nature. And we do know there is an interconnection between people, animals, plants, the environment. This acknowledgement is kind of the basis of One Health, which is the theoretical framework we use in our office. So right now, I'm very happy it's spring because I like to garden. It provides an opportunity for me to sort of unwind and unplug, as Holly said, from the busyness while just being outside, getting fresh air, digging around in the dirt and planting things I can watch grow brings me joy. And, it's an easy thing somebody can do. Just even going to buy a house plant and just kind of watching it grow, it keeps you mindful. And yeah, I think just being connected in nature in whatever way I can right now.
Yeah, that's a great reminder. And I know we've got a couple of episodes coming up with one of our counselors from the Wellness Center, Ken McLeod, talking about that connection between ourselves and nature. But also Dr. Anita Chakravarti is going to be talking to me about mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a final thought that you would want to leave listeners with?
I'll go first. I think there's a lot to examine regarding the human-animal bond. It's a really new area of research. Obviously, there is a lot of anecdotal evidence that is available. Specifically in my own studies in suicide prevention, I've read a lot of stories about how people's reason for living sometimes is their companion animal that they have, but we do not have the research base for this. I think we're very lucky, Holly and I, to be a part of an interdisciplinary team at the university that is working through the One Health office under Dr. Colleen Dell's leadership, because we are doing innovative health research that not a lot of institutes are exploring. And we are at a university here at USask that does support animal-assisted intervention, and not a lot of places are doing this. So I think I'm just very grateful that we get to be a part of this really cool research, as well as having so many community partners who are willing to collaborate with us, which we are very, very thankful for.
And I just want to pipe in here really quickly to acknowledge the community partners as well. We're so thankful for St. John Ambulance and the Pause Your Stress therapy dog teams and University of Saskatchewan's Peer Health, because without them, this program, this research would not be possible. And the enthusiasm and the desire to reach out and participate in this from the handlers has just been really amazing to me, and I think to everyone. And we also, of course, want to thank our funders, Saskatchewan Health Research Foundation, so that we can do this work and evaluate it as well. And I also wanted to mention we're very excited to present our findings as the program continues throughout the summer. And please do follow along with us at Pause Your Stress on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We are trying to be everywhere in the social media
We're everywhere.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. I know how proud we are of our connection with the program and the fantastic work that you guys and Colleen does.
Thank you so much, Peter, for inviting us today.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks for listening to the Be Well at USask podcast with me, Peter Headley, and thanks again to Alexandria and Holly for joining me and sharing. You can find out more about how to connect with the therapy dog program in the contact details and links in the down bar. Please check in again for further episodes and more content related to being well. Please subscribe and share this podcast. You can find us on multiple platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We'd also love to hear from you, so please post comments and questions, and we'll look to include them in future episodes. And if there's someone you think I should be talking to or a topic you'd like us to cover, please let us know. In the next episode in this series relating to Mental Health Week, I'm going to be talking to Dr. Anita Chakravarti, who's a professor of anesthesiology at the USask College of Medicine and a certified mindfulness practitioner. We're going to be talking about mindfulness and resiliency during this period of stress and uncertainty. So until next time, stay safe and be well.